Did you know that the first fully functional computer was made in 1946? It was made by J. Presper Eckert and John Malchi and was called the ENIAC. It took them 3 years to finish, occupied around 1,800 square feet, and consisted of around 18,000 vacuum tubes. This machine weighed over 50 tons and was used mainly to calculate artillery firing tables to help the U.S. troops in World War II. Since then, we've made a lot of progress. Now, most of us carry around a computer everywhere we go and can do a lot more than calculate artillery fire. Even though we've progressed size-wise, most people still don't know what makes up a computer. How can it be that something we use almost every day can be so mysterious to us? Well, a few months ago, I decided to find out. For me, I've always been interested in how things work, and something as intricate as a computer seemed like the perfect challenge. That one impulsive decision led me to finding my new hobby, building computers. I started off by browsing Google, simply looking up how to build a computer, and was surprised by the number of people who were either looking for help or offering to help. It was encouraging to know that I wouldn't be attempting this task alone, and could always reach out to more experienced builders if I needed help. After lots of searching and asking around, I figured out the best website to guide me on my way. It was a site called PC Part Picker. To use it, you simply click on what type of part you want, and it will show you everything you need to know about it. I was looking to build a desktop PC. Why a desktop, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple. It's easier. You have so much more building room in a big case than a tiny laptop, so I thought it would be the perfect place to start. The first thing I had to do was make a budget. I'd saved money I got from birthdays, Christmases, and chores, and ended up with around $500 to $600. Now, that took a while to save, so kids, take it from a 14-year-old with zero life experience, invest in stocks. I could afford to build my PC with mostly second-hand and older parts. To choose my parts, I used PC Part Picker and the subreddit r/BuilderPC, both of which were extremely helpful, and I may not have even been able to start the build without them. Building a computer requires lots of parts. You need a motherboard, RAM, a CPU, a GPU, lots of fans, and a ton of wires. If you didn't know what half those things were, don't worry, neither did I. When purchasing parts, not only did I have to consider cost, but also their compatibility, shipping delivery time, and reliability of the seller. Lucky for me, PC Part Picker did all that for me. In the end, I purchased all my parts from Amazon, simply because, with Prime, it was cheaper and faster than waiting for them to be shipped overseas. I couldn't wait to start the build. But at the same time, I was worried that something would go wrong, or I had forgotten a piece. But the second I unboxed all of the parts, I knew I was ready. So many days of research had gone into this, so many hours of picking parts and months of saving. Now, it was time for all of it to come together and create the perfect machine. The most complicating part was figuring out where all the wires went. Multiple times, I had to undo and rewire all my work because I had put something in the wrong slot. That was the most disappointing part of the build. Every time, I had to go back and use process of elimination to figure out where I went wrong. Throughout all this, however, I never did feel like quitting. I kept moving along, asking more experienced builders online when I needed help, and eventually completed the task. Over the course of 2 days, I worked on the assembly. When things went south, I referred to some instructional YouTube videos to figure out what to do. Finally, all the parts and wires were in the right place. It was the moment of truth, the moment I worked so hard for. It was time to push the start button. I closed my eyes, then realized I couldn't see, so I opened them again. I reached out for the button, clicked it, and nothing happened. But after relocating just one wire, the fan started buzzing, the lights turned on, and the screen changed from the dark black screen of defeat to a nice blue screen telling me to please insert boot drive. Even though I wasn't quite done yet, that was the most satisfying part of the whole build. After a few days of testing the computer and what it could do, I started to get curious. What if I had bought a pre-built PC instead? I was amazed to see how much they cost, more than double what I spent. Plus, the pre-built models I saw for sale were half the speed as my computer. This was also one of the factors that led me to building a computer myself. I knew pre-builts cost more, but I was amazed at how much they really were. The best part about building my computer is that it gave me the opportunity to meet new people from all around the world, and all I had to do was ask a question. I was glad to see how encouraging and helpful everyone was along the way, and I don't think I could have completed the build without them. Even though I've finished building, that doesn't mean I can't change out parts or add things to my PC. Some things I've added are some LED lights and a little robot figure that you can see through the glass. Speaking of adding new things, I've also upgraded a few parts, those being my graphics card and my power supply. I did this so my PC could run my favorite games faster and with more frames per second. In doing this, I learned that the power supply is the most annoying part to upgrade. I had to unplug every wire just to replug them in again to a different but very similar box. This took a while, and a few times I felt like giving up, but with some encouragement from family and friends, I pushed on and eventually finished the task. In addition to learning about computer hardware, I also learned to keep going when all odds seemed against me. I've also learned to use patience and persistence to complete a task. It would have been easy to quit, but not only would I have wasted my time, energy, and money, I also would have let myself down. So, I use my closing statements to encourage you all to go out and try something new, something you may not know how to do, and keep pushing until you succeed. Seek discomfort. Thank you.